all the things that happen in a day of a baseball program. If you've got people that can't handle business, it'll never work.
Okay, hello and welcome. Tonight's edition of Coach's Corner. A lot of firsts going on here tonight. I'd like to officially announce that Coach Dave Serrano and I are kind of joining forces, and we're going to be part of the Coach's Corner, where we cover all the bases, everything related to youth baseball, high school travel, college baseball, and beyond. And we're really excited to have our inaugural first team guest, part of the Lamar Cardinals and part of the Southland Conference, Coach Will Davis. Thank you for joining us tonight, Will.
Hey, really happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, very, very welcome. We're really excited. I think we caught you at a great time. I don't want to jinx anything, but we're off to a great start. And I want to talk a little bit about that hot start. One of the things that I noticed is that, during this 5-0 start, your pitching really been off to a great start. Can you talk a little bit about that? And how does your pitching staff, how did you comprise your pitching staff? Is it a lot of older guys, or are there any new guys, new faces this year in the 2023 Cardinal roster?
Yeah, Walter, we have a lot of new guys on the pitching staff. I think we have 5 returners with more than 20 innings. But we returned none of our weekend starters, and we lost our closer as well. Our number 2 bullpen guy is back, but really other than that, it's pretty much all new faces, either through the transfer portal or junior college. And then we have some guys that were in the program last year that have taken on bigger roles. But it's been great. We've used 13 arms through 5 games, and they've all pretty much done well. And it's been great to see. We've had 3 saves with 2 different guys. So to see guys be able to do that, it's been pretty cool.
Well, congratulations on your start. I know every coach wants to get out of the gate well. I noticed some things. Kudos to your pitching staff. Your numbers are fabulous. Looks like you got out of the gate a little slow offensively, but as a coach, I think you'd take pitching and defense every day of the week to start the season. Your defense has made 1 error, and fielding at a 995 is phenomenal. The other thing I noticed, I think, as a coach, when you put a schedule together, you want to be challenged. And 4 out of your 5 victories have been one-run victories. And I think that's huge when you're building your team for conference play down the line, is figuring out ways to win the tight games. I mean, it'd be nice to be 5-0 and win 20-0, but what do you learn about your team in those kind of games? So you're not only are you winning, but your coaching staff is learning about your team, and your players are learning about themselves.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, myself and Scott Hatton, our hitting coach, and Sean Snedeker, our pitching coach, were just sitting here talking, and it's crazy. This time last week, we hadn't played a game yet, and we've played 5 games in the last 6 days, and like you said, 4 of them 1-run games. Really, 3 saves and 2 walk-off wins. So, I don't know how you can draw it up like that. I mean, every pitch for all 5 games has been important. And so, we have learned a ton. It's crazy. Really, the funny thing is we've seen the relievers 2-3 times now, and the weekend starters, are starting to throw their second time here starting tomorrow. It's like, wow, it feels like forever since I've seen the weekend guys. So we know a lot about our bullpen. I'll say that. And I mean, we have gotten a season's worth of experience almost in 5 games. So I couldn't be any happier with the way it's worked out. Like you said, Dave, it's us coaches like to have that 20-2 low heartbeat game, late in the game, emptying the bench. But, if you knew you were going to win, I think you'd take the 1-run wins, over those any day.
Absolutely.
And Will, I'd like to find out a little bit. You're in year 6 now at Lamar?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm wondering if you could tell me, I know when you came over from LSU, you had 7 or 8 years at LSU, you took over Lamar. You truly were rebuilding a program at that time. It kind of speak a little bit about where you're at, a little bit about what makes Lamar unique, and where you're recruiting from with regard to Lamar University.
Yeah, Walter, we Coach Jim Gilligan was the head coach here for a long time, 39 years, and he did a great job and had a lot of success. And retirements just nowadays, and Dave, you might be the last person to ever retire from college baseball. I don't know, there, you just don't see it really anymore, especially at mid majors. you either usually at mid-major do well enough to get another job, or you get fired, unfortunately, and so for him to retire, it just kind of left a little bit of a void in recruiting for a few years. And so it kind of put us in a little bit of a hole, nothing that he could have avoided, obviously. I mean, it's not his fault. And in fact, he did a lot of things to help mitigate that. But it was just a rebuild. Yeah, I mean, there was no other ways about it. Coming into it, you thought, okay, we'll figure a way to win. But the truth is you have to go through it. And, it took a few years to get going. But, the biggest thing you start to get good players, you start to get your players experience. But I think one of the biggest things is just getting those big wins and that program momentum. Enough can't be said for that, for the guys believing that they can win. And so, we had a few of those in 2021, and that kind of got us over the hump. And then, last year we had a great year, and, we're off to a great start this year.
Hey, Will, you're coaching in the great state of Texas, where there's a lot of great baseball. There's great college baseball teams, and it's very similar. I think when I was at Cal State Fullerton, maybe they had more longevity of tradition. But when we went up against the USCs and the UCLAs, kind of like what you do against the Texas and the TCUs and the Texas A&M, what's the separator for you when you're talking to kids and trying? What's the separator for Lamar University to get those kids to want to come to your university?
Yeah, I'd love to say that we win any recruiting battles against those guys, but we don't. Like if they can get them a walk-on spot, and nowadays NIL money, they could give the walk-ons $6,000, $12,000. That's full tuition here. We've got to pretty much just be recruiting our own little niche thing, and we've kind of done that. And but as far as going toe to toe with them, I think one of the biggest things is just the experience factor. Like we have 2 freshmen on the 40-man roster, and A&M started 3 freshmen. Now they're studs. Don't get me wrong. Jace LaViolette hit 3 home runs against us we played him in a fall game. He hit 3 home runs in the game. So we were really worried about him, but he didn't do anything the other night. That's not to say, it's because he's a freshman, but, freshmen are going to have some ups and downs, and they're trying to figure it out right now, whereas I have 6 returning starters, so, it's a good time to play them early before those talented players and that great coaching staff figures it out. But, I think that's a little bit of a benefit for being in a mid-major if you have your guys and you play your style and your game and it. Whereas sometimes they're still going to go after those stud freshmen because obviously it can pay dividends for them. But while they're waiting for them to figure it out, sometimes maybe we can sneak up on them a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, Will, let's continue on that. Do you foresee yourself going forward at Lamar being more Juco heavy or transfer heavy, or where does the high school senior come with regard to your recruiting classes in the future?
Yeah, Walter, it's really tough. I think we have to be, and we saw this coming during COVID, and we kind of pivoted and said, I don't know how many more scholarships we're going to be handing out to high school kids, just the inconsistency with it, with their development. And then just the fact that, like we've lost our Friday night starter the last 2 years to Oklahoma. We're Oklahoma's JV team. So
easy, Skip.
Yeah. So Skip calls me to schedule next year, and I'm like, oh, well, we got to play so you can see who you want to take, But no, look, they do a great job, and I'm happy for the kids. But both guys were from Oklahoma, and it's a great opportunity for them, and they all did it the right way here with us. And it's kind of cool to see in a way, as much as you hate it for your own team. But, it's one of those things where, and one, I'll say with this, we've got some transfers this year, and the transfers have actually been better than the Juco kids, even if they didn't have great years last year at the Division I level. I think sometimes that Division I experience of knowing, what the calendar looks like, what a season looks like, what the coach's expectations are, it's just a little bit different than Juco, and Juco has been really good to us as well. But, there is a difference, like down here, for instance, the only games that matter in Juco are the conference games. So there's like that Monday game where they'll play like TCS post grad and they'll play all the freshmen because it really doesn't matter. Well, in college baseball, we don't do that. We're trying to beat Texas A&M on Tuesday night, so we're not playing all the freshmen. So it's just those kind of things are a little bit of a difference. So we've had we brought in a lot of Juco guys, and a lot of them are very good. Don't get me wrong, and playing key roles on us. But the few transfer portal guys that we've brought in have been really good for us. So I think that's something we're going to, continue to try to go with as long as the rules remain the way they are.
Well, you hit on a great point, and Walter and I talked about this last week, I believe. I always said when I had a high school player in my office and his family that the biggest jump in any baseball player's career is from high school to the college level, no matter what level they're going to, whether it's junior college, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA. I just think it's the discipline factor. I think sometimes kids in high schools think they're working hard, but when they get to college, they realize they were hardly working.
Yeah.
The 6 o'clock waits, the schooling, the practice, the study hall, the meetings. It's hard. It becomes hard if you're not disciplined to do that. And I know not all high school programs are doing that. And would you agree that it is the biggest jump in their career if they're coming from high school as a senior to a Division I school?
I mean, 100%, Dave. I mean, yeah. I mean, you know that better than anybody. I mean, and we would see it like, when I was at LSU, it was crazy. Like, Alex Bregman obviously came in working really hard, but a lot of kids had to get there and go, oh, like every day I have to do this or I'm going to get beat out. You know what I mean? And that's, you don't, in high school, you just don't do that. It's just not that expectation just because the competition one is not maybe as good. And then just, the guidance, I guess, necessarily is not, there just, and once again, it's because of competition. I mean, really, when you get up and there's always going to be another kid coming behind you, and you don't know who they are. You don't know who the coaching staff is recruiting. When you're in high school, you know who the sophomore is, you know who the freshman is, you know who the guy coming behind you is. And so, it's a huge jump for sure. And
I've always said it's bigger than going in a pro ball out of college.
I would, I've never coached in pro ball, so I'm not an expert on that, but I would 100% agree. It has to be. I mean, just from going from the levels of competition and just the success rate that you see.
Yeah.
Well, I can speak to watching a certain freshman go from high school to Division I ball and getting his teeth kicked in. So I know.
Did he? I don't remember. I remember him being pretty good.
Well,
I only remember him being good. So was he bad at some point? I don't know. I don't think he was bad against us.
He took it on the chin against Stanford. I can attest to that.
Okay. I don't think against the Tigers though.
So I want to ask, and a lot of parents, when we start talking about college baseball and all this Power 5 stuff, I lived in Louisiana, as you know, for about 7 years, and I can attest to the fact that the Southland, I know you're a new addition to the Southland Conference as of 2022, but Southland Conference is really pretty good. When you take Matt over there at Southeastern, you got McNeese, you got UNO, Blake Dean, you got these guys. I mean, this is a pretty good conference. Can you talk about your your out-of-conference schedule is pretty good when you talk Missouri, Texas A&M, but your conference schedule is very, very competitive. Yeah,
no doubt, Walter. And like coming from the WAC, now the WAC is a great conference. I mean, don't get me wrong. Grand Canyon, Abilene Christian, UTRGV, Sam Houston, Sac State, Cal Baptist. I mean, like I'm glad we're not seeing all those teams. But I think a little bit of the difference from the Southland is the bottom teams are tough. The bottom teams last year we went 10-2 against. I don't know that that's going to happen this year in the Southland. Now if I never see Grand Canyon again, I'm good. But so I think everybody, there's a level in the conference, and I don't know if that's a geographic thing with all the teams being so close in proximity that it's easy to copy recruiting and those kind of things and copy style. Whereas the WAC being so spread out, you're going to just get some different styles, some different types of universities, and it can lend to a little bit of ups and downs with the level, the top heaviness, I guess you would say. But yeah, we're prepared 100% to strap it on every week when we get to Southland play.
When you talk recruiting, Will, how do you guys handle? For the people that are listening, how do you guys handle camps? Do you guys have prospect camps on campus? How many of those do you have? And the other thing, because you're so junior college heavy in your recruiting, have you ever had a junior college uncommitted camp during either the holiday season or at the end of May when most of their seasons are over with?
Great questions, Dave. So I'll start with the high school camps. Yeah, we do as many as the market allows pretty much. So I think last year we did 4 of them, and we had one in January with about 100 kids. we are very transfer heavy. It's not to say that we're not, like we have a catcher that's a freshman that we really like. That's our number 3 guy right now, but he got a pinch hit at bat Saturday, base hit, like it was no big deal with the game on the line. So, you can still find those guys. There's no doubt. You want to have an avenue to do that other than just the normal recruiting way. And obviously the showcase camps, prospect camps are a great way to evaluate those guys on the field with them every day, all day and get to see them in every little aspect that you want to see them. As far as the junior college thing, we've thought about that before. That's a tough deal just because, the Juco, and not to say that the high schools aren't in the same boat, but it's a little bit different, trying to get to the college level. Having the Jucos in Texas that we have, I think it'd be a tough ask to like, hey, we want your guys to come in and run the 60 right before you guys start. We want you guys to throw 2 innings before, I have some pause on that one. What we've done is just in the summer, we've made the high school camps available to junior college uncommitted kids if they wanted to come. And we get a handful that do. We haven't had a ton of luck on that one. And as far as like signing kids, but, I just think for where we're at, like as a mid-major, it'd be tough to put that together without stepping on too many toes.
Yeah.
So, Will, I want to talk on this mid-major point that you bring up. Can you talk to me? Do you foresee any changes where, over the next year or two, 1, a change in the scholarship, and 2, with that change in scholarship, potentially, maybe a 1 AA or, the big Power 5 guys go to the left and the mid-majors go to the right, and you kind of have your own College World Series. Do you see anything like that potentially happening down the road?
I'm not really tapped into that stuff, Walter, anymore. I mean, it's, when you're at LSU, you get all the scoop, and Maneri was tied with everything. And it's funny when we go play A&M, Schloss tells me about everything that's going on and educates me. And I'm like, oh, wow. We kind of stay in our lane, I could see that coming. Yes. I think like with anything, football and basketball are going to kind of drive, mainly football are probably going to drive everything. So, I don't know. I could see that coming. It doesn't feel like it would come quickly. I think that'd be a pretty drastic change to see. Like, would Fullerton be in the top thing? Would they be like 1 AA? Like, they can win the national championship. So, how do you differentiate? With all of that, because there's some schools, as you guys know better than anybody, that are really good at baseball, but maybe not necessarily good at anything else, or don't even have football.
Right.
So, like, how do we do that? I guess would be, and I think those kind of things would take a long time to get organized. But maybe yes, maybe in our lifetime we will see that.
On staying on that subject a little bit, throughout my career, Will, we've said it a few times on this broadcast, but I never liked the word mid-major, especially in the sport of baseball, because look what you just did over your last 2 games. You went into 2 Power 5. You played 2 Power 5 schools, A&M and Kansas State, respectively, and you won both those games. And I think in the sport of baseball, it doesn't matter what level you are, mid-major or Power 5.
Yeah.
It's the team that plays best that day. Now, in football, it's a different story. In basketball, it's a different story. But in baseball, it's such a unique sport that you could have a good arm, or you can catch every ball that's hit. And that's why I hope they don't do it one day. But then again, I look at the other side of the coin, and I think the last 3 College World Series, there has not been a non-Power 5 school in the 8 teams in Omaha. That's concerning to me, especially someone that wore the Fullerton uniform for many years, and we were annually going to Omaha. And when you look at, they have 4 national championships at Cal State Fullerton. There's not many schools that can say that, and for sure not a school that's considered a mid-major. So that's a concern. But I never liked all respect to any school that's considered a mid-major, because it's baseball. It's different than the sport of football and basketball, and you don't have to be a Power 5 to win games. And you guys are proving that, and you proved that over your 6-year career there.
Yeah, no, that's very well said, Dave. Look, the mid-major thing, I'm doing a little trick here by saying that. I'm trying to undersell and over-deliver.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're the little lowly old mid-major, but we 100% expect to win. But I mean, you were at Fullerton, so by the, you're not hiding from anybody there. You're not tricking anybody into thinking you're a mid-major.
That's how Augie took the same approach every year, and George Horton did too. It was, Cal State Disneyland and they just go out and beat everybody. I mean, they beat everybody. So
Yeah.
I totally agree with what you're doing.
All right, good.
So, Will, I'm getting a lot of questions from parents of current college student athletes. So it's kind of a delicate situation. But they're asking me, are you open to people that are not necessarily from the Southeast, the Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas area? Or is it somebody that you feel is best served, as far as Lamar is concerned, to be from that geographic area?
Yeah, I mean, full transparency, Walter, as far as like the high school kids go, I think it'd be foolish for us to kind of go out of our region. I just, with the transfer portal, you're adding a lot of layers there. Like, okay, we take a kid from Chicago, he comes down. Is he going to get homesick? If he is really good, is he going to try to go to, the first place after the year one? It's just not really a great business model for us. If we can get them some academic money and they come, for nothing really, then we're low risk, maybe high reward. It's just not something that's really worked for us. So look, every situation into its own self is different. Obviously, if there's some kind of connection or something like that, it would be different. But the high school kids that we are recruiting are in a pretty close driving range for us.
Going into this season, I know you have gotten off to a great start. Going into the season, what was the anticipation that you guys like this team?
Yeah, we did, but we obviously, I think everybody likes their team in January.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I've never heard anybody say like we're going to really suck this year. So I guess sometimes first year head coaches do that because it's always the other guy's fault. But that's an old trick. But yeah, everybody seems to like their team in January, no matter how bad they were the year before. We had a lot of guys back, but we lost a lot of key guys too. I mean, we lost Adam Wheaton was our Saturday guy. He was a Division III transfer and went 10-2 for us. He was a senior last year. And then Braxton Douthit left and went to Oklahoma, like I said. And then Jack Dallas, the school's best closer in history, graduated and signed with the Phillies. And then we lost 4 key guys out of our lineup that did really well for us. So, I mean, we liked it. You're watching it. And my contention is, I know what bad looks like. We've got a baseline level of pitching where I don't think we're going to be bad. We can play great defense. So I think to be bad, you've got to not be able to do those two things. So, but what is good? Is winning 25 games good? Is winning 40 games good? For me, that's all predicated on individual players having great years.
Yeah.
And if I could predict that, then I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. I'd probably have to be, if you could bottle that up somehow and figure that out, you'd be a gazillionaire. So, obviously we're off to a great start, but it's, we knew we weren't bad, but we didn't know how good we could be. And I guess, we still really don't.
Yeah. Will, I want to follow up one of the things you were talking about with your, one of you guys leaving for Oklahoma. Do you find yourself as a staff being apprehensive when it comes to sending out Lamar Cardinals for summer baseball? Are you an advocate of the summer leagues? Do you try to keep everybody close to the vest? How do you do that in this world of transfer portal heaven?
Yeah, Walter, it's kind of hard not to be guarded on that. If the guy is eligible to transfer, if he hasn't already transferred once, that first year that it was available, we had like one guy wanted to go in the transfer portal and we had the exit meetings, but then lo and behold, by June 30th, like 2 more guys did that were playing summer ball. And it's like, why didn't you say that on June 2nd? It's hard not to raise a few eyebrows in the direct direction of summer leagues, so you got to be smart about it. Some guys need that development. And then, you got to know who you can trust, I guess.
In regards to the transfer portal, and I get the whole rule. I wasn't a big fan of it because it's the wild, wild west now.
Yes.
But don't you think at a place, being in the leadership role at Lamar, you've already lost some key guys. You said that to Oklahoma. But don't you think you could benefit just as much because of those guys that come out of high school and have their eyes really big that I'm going to go here and succeed, and they realize I'm not getting any playing time, and that's when they come back to your place?
I think so, Dave. Yeah. So for me, if you can either cry about it or you can pivot, And so we've chose to pivot. And so like our starting shortstop came from Stephen F. Austin. Our Friday night starter came from Stephen F. Austin. The kid we started against A&M went to SIU Edwardsville last year. So, you got to roll with it. And if you're going to lose a guy, then you got to try to get a guy. It's one of those things where you got to be adaptable for sure.
Yeah.
I have this one question that I have to make sure I get because Mom has asked it 3 times. So I guess I have to ask this. How do you as a staff or you as a head coach identify a potential Division I recruit? In other words, could you kind of share some attributes or something that just stands out that makes that Division I guy, he definitely has X skill sets. This is a recruitable Division I student athlete. Can you share your opinions on that topic?
Yeah, I mean that's a very you're casting a wide net on how to answer that. I think on the position player side, you're looking for certain traits that are going to allow that person to play X amount of positions. Obviously the 2 things that help a person play a position are athleticism and arm strength. If I'm just putting it down into boiling it down into basics, the better you are at those 2 things, the more things that you can play. So that's one thing. You got to be able to, because it's hard to watch a kid enough to know, okay, this guy can play this, until you get him on your campus. I've seen kids look really good at shortstop in a snapshot, and then you get them on campus and, it's 18 throwing errors in the fall and, that kind of thing. So, that's the thing. And then just for me, it's not a lot of swing and miss on the offensive side, finding the barrel, and then obviously the same athleticism that translates hopefully to the defensive side is going to translate to the offensive side as well, as far as foot speed and all that stuff. And then you're looking for build and all those things and trying to project, what they could become, frame, do they have broad shoulders? Do they not? What's their body type? Is that a body that's going to get better? Is that a body that's peaked? Is that a body that's going to get worse? And then the pitching side is tough, because the biggest thing that's going to play for us, especially at the mid-major level, is strikes, and like for me, there's a baseline level of velocity, and the best guys that we've had, it's fastball for strikes, and then how good is their second pitch? Like the best guys we've had at Lamar, that's it. And we had a guy throw 100 miles an hour, and we could never pitch him. And at the same time, against A&M, we rolled guy after guy, 87, 88 with a breaking ball, and they got 5 hits. So it's easy to get caught up in velocity and all that stuff, and I know all the big league numbers and all that, but for us, what wins is the ability to throw strikes with the fastball and then get swing and misses on a second pitch. It doesn't necessarily have to be a breaking ball. Obviously, it could be a changeup or something else, split or something, but that's what attracts us, and for a guy. And projection for us almost doesn't even really matter because we could project to lose them. So, we're looking at, what's going to play.
I want to ask you a question, Will. I don't know how much time we have left, Walter, but I think this is an important question for you to answer for the people that are listening. As a former coach myself, I know when we were recruiting a young man, and even after he committed to our school, how much stock do you put in? And maybe you're not dealing with it. It might be your recruiting coordinator or one of your assistant coaches during that summer before they come in, or even during their high school senior year, of accountability of getting their paperwork in, doing the stuff they're supposed to be doing to get into school, getting their transcripts in. As a coach, how much of a red flag goes up when you have that recruit that you're continuing to have to remind him to get that stuff in on how's he going to make it here if he can't even do this?
Huge red flag, Dave. I deal with all that. I've continued to do that even as the head coach, just because it gives me a way to constantly communicate with the recruits. And for me, like if I'm not doing that, maybe I'll miss the social media home run the kid hit, but if I'm constantly the one that's getting the admissions checklist and I'm saying, hey, you need to get your meningitis shot in, it's giving me weekly contact with the kid. It's ensuring that I'm doing that. So, and then we talk about what's going on, it makes me contact them each week. And so, we have had guys like that in the past, and typically they don't make it, You know what I mean? And that's,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, that's a hard thing to find out, you know, whether a kid's going to do that until you actually have signed them and you're starting to do all that stuff.
You're right. You're exactly
you know,
right.
just because that high school coach wants you to sign them. So they're not going to tell
Mm-hmm.
you that they're not, you know, and obviously you can do all the homework you want, but people are going to speak highly of the kid usually, unless he's an absolute not good kid. But yeah, just all that, taking care of business. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And you know how it is with all the moving parts in a program, the showing up on time for bullpens and weights and all the moving part, all the things that happen in a day of a baseball program. If you've got people that can't handle business, it'll never work.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It is a huge red. I like the kids that get stuff done on their own. They're low maintenance. It's not always coach. Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? You know, I don't know how to do FAFSA, you know. Look, we're a resource for everyone, but when you're constantly not knowing how to do anything or getting things done, being able to get things done on your own, it's a big red flag.
What a lot of families don't understand is it's a trust factor. And as a coach, you have to have trust in that individual when you're bringing them into their program, just like they have to trust you as their leader that they're going to be around for the next 2 or 4 years, however long they're there. But it's also reciprocated by the trust that we've got to have as coaches on how much can I trust you in the moment that you're going to get the sign and you're going to know what we're trying to do. And it all goes hand in hand with all the stuff that we were talking about.
No doubt. Like, how do we do, I always think about this, how do we do anything if people are not mature? I mean, like, you know, nowadays with the NCAA rules and the 8 hours, 20 hours, and we've got like 50 different report times during the day. Yeah. If I'm constantly, we're not taking roll, you know what I mean? So if guys are just, if 1 minute late, 2 minutes late, it throws everything off, you know what I mean? So it goes back to what you're saying. If you can't get paperwork in on time, if the college coach says, hey, you need to do this, and it doesn't, like for me, it'd be number one, like I'm checking myself out of class to get it done.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like by the end of the day, if he's got to ask a second time in a couple of weeks, then we have a problem.
Walter, let me say one more thing. I thought you were going to go down the road. I have a saying, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I love that. And, you know, I hope that's true. You know, I hope there's people that don't have messy cars that can really hit, but I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know.
Well, first of all, this is the first for Dave and I. I think it went swimmingly well. I'm really happy that we had you on as our first guest. I have great respect for you, as you know. We go back a little bit, and I'm really thrilled that you took the time to spend with us here tonight. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Have a litany of people that are now Lamar Cardinal fans, and they really have enjoyed this tonight. So thank you for getting us some time. I know you're a busy guy. It's in season, so we greatly appreciate you joining us tonight.
Well, let me just say this. One, first I want to apologize because the Wi-Fi in my room was not working great. I'm at the Houston West Chase Marriott right now. We have the Sugarland Classic. And so I came down to the lobby. I'm like, the Wi-Fi will be better here. Okay, it's quiet. Let's do this. Well, then Northwestern State's whole team just checked in the middle of our interview. I don't know how, they were pretty loud. So I don't know if you can edit that out or, okay.
That's college athletics.
They were literally like on the other side of the computer passing out keys and stuff like while I'm trying to do this. So,
I just thought you wanted to be first in line for the buffet line tomorrow morning for breakfast.
So if Bobby Barbier somehow listens to this, I'm going to punch him in the face because like his whole team was checking in. No, I'm kidding. But hey, look, no, in all seriousness, I have immense respect. Obviously, Walter, we go way back to your time in New Orleans. And Dave, just obviously we got a chance to play at LSU and just as a son of a coach, you know, a former college baseball coach, I'm just a big fan of college baseball and guys that have done it. And, you know, pretty cool what you guys are trying to do. I didn't realize I was the first. So honored to be on.
Well, thank you. And I'll be following you guys this year, Will, and continue success.
Thanks, guys.
Very welcome. Thank you, guys. And look, every Thursday night now, as a matter of fact, make sure you join us every Thursday at 9 p.m. because from this point forward, the Coach's Corner takes on a whole new look. We're going to cover all the bases on anything and everything to do with baseball. We're going to talk baseball every week with regard to season series and events that happen throughout the high school and college season. So thank you for joining us tonight. We look forward to joining you next week. We will have a surprise guest on next week. We will announce it during the week on social media. Thank you to everybody, and we'll see you next week.